right, guys, so it's the last day of July, right? July 31st. We have the freaking Hall of Fame game tonight. Football's officially back. Chargers, Lions. Personally, I'm going to be going for the Lions. But in any case, the Jets just wrapped up another training camp practice. Not a ton of updates in this one. But we definitely have enough to kind of pull away what the vibe was, what the gist was from what happened today. We also heard from Steve Wilkes, which was really cool. I didn't see an Aaron Glenn presser. I'm filming this like right after the practice is wrapping up here. I'm assuming Tanner Engstrand is probably going to meet with the team here in, a half hour to an hour, probably right after Steve Wilkes is done talking. But before we dive into the practice, I just wanted to say thanks, right? Thanks a ton for supporting the channel. I love doing these training camp practice videos. Again, man, football's back. The regular season is going to be here before we know it, but man, I am so excited for preseason, that joint practice against the Giants, the preview videos for those games, the recap videos for those games. Man, it's going to be a ton of fun, and just seeing, going through comments and just like even, for example, looking at the likes on all these videos, man, it means a ton. I just don't want it to go unnoticed. So just, again, quickly wanted to say thanks a ton for supporting the channel. So according to Zach Rosenblatt, Braylon Allen wasn't there at the start of practice. He did miss the previous practice with knee soreness a couple days ago. So obviously yesterday there was the day off in between, and he's still not out there. It is what it is, right? I mean, Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilkes, Tanner Engstrand, they made the decision to full go contact, right? There's pads, there's tackling. It seems like everything is greenlit. And first of all, we've heard the reporters talk about, these practices being some of the most physical they've ever seen, but also look at the timetable on when this stuff is taking place. Yeah, pads come on for lots of teams during this week of camp, but even though pads are on, like for example, I was over at the Bucks training camp practice the other night. Yeah, there were pads. Yeah, there was contact tackling, but it wasn't full on people being driven into the turf, and it didn't look like an actual NFL game. But the way these reporters are making it sound is, hey, this is no joke. Like, this is physical, like as hell here. So whenever you start that process, and I got to be honest, I love the physicality. I love how Aaron Glenn is shaking things up. I think for a bad tackling team, working on tackling makes a ton of sense, especially early on in camp. So by the time the regular season gets here, we're not confused. We're not having these tackling question marks. We're working out all the kinks now to be better prepared for the start of the season. But with that, again, it comes with a bit of a cost, which is the toll it takes on your body. So these guys are football players. They've all been doing it for pretty much their entire lives. I don't want to make it sound like they're doing something super out of the ordinary here. I mean, they're just tackling. But to get the tackling started, late in July, where these practices are physical, you do have to bring it. There is a lot of energy, a lot of competing going on. It just kind of makes you wonder, okay, will guys maybe start to peak in a week or two, and then it starts to dip downwards just because of the amount of physicality? It is a fair question to ask, just throwing it out there. And of course, I'm not suggesting that Braylon Allen got hurt because of, a tackle or a physical practice or anything, just throwing it out there. Again, when we see a lot of tackling, especially this early on, it just makes you wonder, okay, what will the team look like? Where will the energy levels be 3 weeks from now? Because we still have a week before the first preseason game. So, there's going to be a lot of physicality throughout this Jets camp. And Steve Wilkes actually addressed this. Glenn does a good job of managing, reading the team, understanding when to pick it up, understanding when to dial it back, giving guys rest days, things like that. If you take a look at, and this is one of the most underrated storylines of the Aaron Glenn hire, it's the amount of coaches that he's learned from or worked with. Like, these are some of the best in the NFL. Dan Campbell, we could throw Ben Johnson into the mix now, right? Head coach of the Bears. But Sean Payton going back to New Orleans. I mean, there's Bill Parcells, right? Mike Westhoff. Like, he's been around some really, really intelligent football minds, guys that have turned cultures around. Think about the Saints before Sean Payton entered that building. Think about the Lions before Dan Campbell entered that building. Of course, everyone knows the Bill Parcells, lore here. But all of these coaches have really good management skills, management styles, game preparation. How do you handle a short week? How do you handle playing in London? Right? What's the preparation throughout the week? Are you losing the game before you even get to Sunday? And we haven't actually seen anything happen in the regular season yet, but all the talk right now is that Aaron Glenn is doing a good job of just being that overseer on scheduling, overseer on points that need to be hit on throughout the week, and also at the same time not overdoing it. So interesting aspect to look at it from, the whole contact, injuries, game planning type of situation here, but so far so good. Now, according to reporters here, it didn't really sound like the offense had a great day, the starting offense. It sounded like there were just some blunders, a Garrett Wilson drop, some errant throws. It is what it is. I guess it did look a little bit better towards the end of practice, and that was kind of the same story that happened a couple days ago, where the offense starts out a little slow and then they start getting rolling. Aaron Glenn talked about it in his most recent press conference a couple days ago, where he said that there's going to be days where the defense just flat out wins. There's going to be days where the offense wins, but you kind of just feel like there is a little bit of a disadvantage for the offensive guys because, as a defense, you're playing as one, you're playing as this collective unit. Yeah, you're not tackling involuntary OTAs and minicamp, and of course the early portion of training camp, but once you kind of have that chemistry down as a defense, when contact is allowed, it's full go. Whereas on offense, it just takes some more time to get going, more time to get in sync. Like normally you'll see standout guys in voluntary OTAs and minicamp, and then when pads come on, some guys shrink, some guys stay the same, some guys get better. But the whole physicality element to, whether you want to talk about the Jets or any other team, it's kind of this pivoting point for a lot of these players' future performances, right? Some guys perform better, some guys perform worse once contact starts, once, guys can start hitting these offensive players. But overall, not really much to talk about on the offensive side. Again, Justin Fields, kind of good moments, not so good moments, according to reporters. But one specific standout has been the offensive line. And Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic reported early this morning the Jets' right side of the offensive line has been awesome in the running game all camp. Just opened up a hole for Breece Hall, might have been a 10-yard touchdown. Who's on the right side of the offensive line? Armand Membou. Who has been Armand Membou's kind of rival throughout this entire camp? Will McDonald. So to hear this team all offseason, we want to be committed to the run game. We want to run the ball. We have a good offensive line. We have good running backs. But then to actually see it translate on the field is a whole nother story. That is just sick. It's sick. I love Armand Membou. I love the draft selection. Top 10 pick for a reason. Everyone kind of assumed he was going to be a top 10 pick. But whether you want to talk about upside, athleticism, size, potential as a pass blocker, run blocking abilities, this kind of felt like the final piece to the offensive line, at least for this year, because we have a lot of future contract discussions talking about like the middle of the offensive line, of course. But that pairing between Olu and Membou, I just love the potential for years to come with both of those guys. Like, it just feels so much different than 3-4 years ago, where it was just kind of random free agents. We're trying things aren't working. We're moving guys around, left side, right side, left side, right side. They're on top of it, injuries, guys not being available. Think about all the cycling through, all the different tackles that the Jets have had really since let's not even go back to the Bowles era. Let's just go to the start of the Saleh era. Like, there's been a lot of tackles cycled in and out here, both on the left and right side. So it just feels, and Grant, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it just feels nice knowing, okay, Olu's the starter, Membou's the starter. That's it. There's no more questions. We're not trying to move guys. We're not saying, okay, well, Membou, maybe we can have him take snaps at guard this week, or maybe he can play on the left side if Olu gets hurt. Who's going to be our starting left tackle? Could we maybe move Membou over to the left? No. Membou's right. Olu's left. Both guys want to be at those positions. Both guys fit at both positions. Both guys are projected to have a ton of success at both spots. So that's the way I think you should do it. That's the way the Jets are executing it, and I'm freaking thrilled, man. the potential for this offensive line. I truly believe that this could be a top 12 offensive line in football. And when was the last time that the Jets had that type of potential? It's been a long time. I literally can't even think of that off the bat here. Quick little side note. Zach Rosenblatt did report that Nick Folk went 6 for 6 in field goals, plus 2 makes from 50 plus. If we take a look back at Nick Folk's stats over this past season, 6 plus 50 yarders hit. Think about all those missed opportunities, all those points that the Jets left on the table. And it's not to say that Nick Folk is going to be 100%, 40 from 40 from field, with field goals and extra points and everything this season. He's gonna miss some. I don't want to just dump all those expectations on him, but it just feels better. It just feels like a sigh of relief, a more comforting feeling, knowing, okay, we have a veteran, we have a 40-year-old, we have someone who's not going to be rattled too much, and even if he's put into big situations, a game-tying kick at the end of a fourth quarter to go to overtime, a game winner. I mean, we've seen this guy hit big kicks for the Jets years ago. So he's been doing it for a long time, all those years with the Patriots, a couple years with the Titans, obviously. It feels good knowing that we don't have a shaky situation unfolding. We actually have a kicker that people believe in within this organization, and someone who, I just don't feel like he's going to be rattled. He's been in this position many, many times. I think we're in really good hands here with Nick Folk. Last point I want to talk about. Steve Wilkes mentioned it. We've had a couple reporters talk about it. Defensive tackle from Clemson, Peyton Page, continuing to stand out big time. Undrafted free agent, someone with a ton of potential. We've been talking about him since April. One of my favorite, so he was my favorite undrafted free agent acquisition this cycle. I love taking the gamble on these former 5-star high school recruits, right? Guys that come in with huge expectations, and for whatever reason, they don't live up to the hype, right? It could be the scheme, it could be the players in front of that. College is a whole different game than the NFL. Whole different game than the NFL. You see a lot of guys slip through the cracks. And it's not to say that guys don't slip through the cracks at the NFL level, but you can find some really talented players in the undrafted free agent market, guys with a lot of potential that maybe they just weren't in the best situation, or maybe they made a mistake, or maybe, for example, like in the case of Page here, I had a lot of Clemson fans reach out when the Jets initially brought him in, and they said, hey, be on the lookout. The Clemson defensive line has been stacked for years. There's really not this pathway for him to play. There's been some weight concerns early on. Also, one of the reasons why he wasn't really, a rotational guy on defense. He was more so this special teamer for years until his final year there, where he kind of burst out onto the scene, third team all ACC, and was a contributing player. Definitely looked the part, has the size, has the athleticism to perform at the NFL level. For a position of need, a thin spot here at D tackle, I mean, I'm loving what I'm hearing. Loving what I'm hearing right now from Paige. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. August starts tomorrow. Things really start to pick up. We got the joint practice. We got the preseason games. Man, I'm freaking pumped. So yeah, thanks so much. And as always, go Jets.